Okay, so a couple days ago, I finished Worm Arc 6. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So the way, because there's not really any school stuff to talk about, and the personal life stuff is all right at the end. This is how I've got it set up. Talking about the plot, then talking about the interlude chapter at the very end, a little bit about the characters. Aside from Taylor, I don't really have much to say about most of the characters here, and then just some like little lore tidbits that happen that I thought were kind of interesting or kind of neat. So what actually happened in terms of the plot? The raids against the ABB continued, and they were successful. And then after the ABB is dismantled, they are taken care of. Then the villains kind of start doing their shit again, and they mention that Coil's group and Empire 88 have been going at it with territory disputes and fight. And I think Taylor was kind of like, so damn, like that truce was literally just until the ABB is done, and then it was on site for everybody. I mean, bunch of assholes, but I guess I respect the supervillain hustle, and I thought that was pretty funny. Then, Taylor and Brian's go to his apartment to move some furniture, and it is genuinely they're going to move some furniture. But it's been very clear to me for a while that Taylor's had a thing for Brian, and Lisa's like, you've got a crush, you've got a crush. Yeah, I guess I do. I think I do. But if I like him, then I won't be able to betray him. But I have to betray them. But I don't want to betray them. But I'm gonna betray them. And like we'll talk about that conflict in a little bit. Let's throw a pin in the wall. But she hangs out with Brian for a bit. His sister ends up coming over with the social worker. He's like, Aisha, I think was her name. Like, Aisha, what the fuck? You told me you were coming later. Yeah, well, I wanted to go ahead and do it now so I could go see a movie. Aisha ends up alone with Taylor for a bit and is like, so, you're the bug girl, aren't you? Because my brother has not told me that he has powers, but I'm not stupid. I've figured it out. Like, the times when he was not available is whenever the Undersiders were doing their thing. So I just kind of figured out that it was him. And then I've never seen you before, and they just got a new person. I assume it's you. And Taylor, I don't know what you're talking about. Brian, come fucking help me. And I thought that was pretty cute. It was pretty fun. So then the Undersiders get a new job from the boss, to which Lisa tells them if we pull this off, we're getting half or $250,000 each. I believe it was $250K each. And we will have proved ourselves to the boss. We don't have to take it just like any other job. It is a democracy. But now if we pass it and we prove ourselves, we'll start getting the bigger jobs and we will get to meet the boss. And at first when she's like, this is the job, the mayor, because the ABB has been dealt with, there's all these heroes in town, and he's hosting a charity event, fundraiser, a mission accomplished kind of thing. A bunch of heroes there, like Armsmaster and Miss Militia and some of the lords, and we're gonna go, our job is to crash the party and embarrass them. So Alec is like, this is fucking dumb. And why would we do this? Brian, this is really fucking dumb. Rachel, even I think this is fucking dumb. And Taylor going, okay, this is really fucking dumb. But if we get to meet the boss, it's the last bit of information that I need. I need to betray the Undersiders. I need to do it soon so I don't get in too deep. I'm in. And then Alec, when he hears the amount, wait, 250,000? Okay, I'm in. Rachel, if Taylor's in, I'm in. And then you got Brian just going, this is so dumb. This is really, really dumb. But if I'm outvoted, and this is not a dictatorship. If the group wants to do it, everyone in the group is doing it. I'm in. And I remember reading it and just thinking to myself, if this plan goes awry, and if anything happens to Brian, the one person here who had the sense to say this is stupid, holding all of y'all accountable. Like, Taylor, you will be on my shit list if anything happens to this man. So remember in Arc 3, again, I think it was 3, where they do the heist, and there's some actual discussion of like, okay, these are all the people who are going to be here. they don't do like a full breakdown of like all the shit they're going to do for the heist, but there's at least some discussion of the planning, and you kind of have an idea of what they're going to be doing. That doesn't really happen here. It's just like, oh, we're going to do this dumb thing. All right, let's do it. And then it just kind of happens. And I'll be honest, I felt a lot less invested, not knowing really any of the planning involved. The actual fight, like with the heroes and like Armsmaster and shit, I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know. I feel like to me there was just a huge disconnect of, I understand why we're doing this. Alec wants the money, Taylor wants the info, and bitches in is like, hey, if like Twigs over here is in, I'm in too. This just seems really dumb. I don't want to say it. You remember Fellowship of the Ring? You know the famous meme from Sean Bean, one does not simply walk into Mordor? That's kind of why I hated this. That's really what the plan feels like. And it's not even, we have to do this to destroy the ring. It's, hey, the boss will give us a lot of money if we go in, go, nya, 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 and then we leave. It's gonna be hard to leave. It just felt stupid. It really did. I guess the actual, like, fighting was pretty cool with, like, using the foam gun on, like, Shadowstalker and shit, and Armsmaster, like, using his EMPs to make sure the guns don't work on him anymore, and Miss Militia can just make weapons, and it's fucking cool. But for me, I was listening to it, I was like, this just feels so pointless. I know it leads to something big, because we're going to meet the boss, assuming they are successful, and they are. So this is still plot relevant. I remember, I guess I'm going to go and start talking about the character stuff now, because I got to rant about Taylor. The reason I hated this is it reminded me of Bad Ruby. This was some Team Ruby Volume 6, Volume 7 energy of, hey, they're not gonna give us what we want, and they gave us an out, and we don't like the out, so we're gonna go and steal an airship. We're gonna do something really, really fucking stupid that not only shouldn't work, but even if it does work, should put us in a whole heap of trouble. And of course, not only does it work, because of what they did, more bad shit happens, which they're able to get out of scot-free and then get rewarded for it. And then they don't even really get punished for it either. It's like, I don't like this. And Taylor specifically feels like a Bad Ruby era character. What bothered me... Okay, so let me put it like this. The idea of Taylor getting to a point and saying, I don't know what's the right thing anymore. My plan was to work as a mole, get the information, turn them in, and then join the Protectorate, the Wards, whatever the fuck. Because they're bad guys. They're villains. It's the right thing to do. Armsmaster is a hero that I know, that I respect. If I can get him the information he needs, it means I did a good thing. Now, fast forward 5 arcs, I don't know if it's the right thing anymore. Because the Undersiders they're not bad people. They're my friends. I haven't had friends in such a long time. And if I gain their trust just to stab them in the back, I'm no better than Emma. I mean, I don't know if Emma was playing the long con on me forever, but she betrayed me. And I know how that felt. I'm still feeling it. I don't want to do that to them. So does that mean I am a supervillain? Because I'm not tried to be a villain. I know I've done villainous things, but they were for a good reason. And if I don't have that reason anymore, then am I a bad person? I think that's super interesting. I actually really like that. The problem I have is as she's kind of doing this in her head, being like, do I betray them or not? The way it came across to me, because there was one thing she said, I don't remember exactly how she said it, but she's like, okay, if I do it, then what happens to me? What I would like is to join the wards, because I didn't want to join it, because it's like high school, and I've had my fill of high school bullshit. But now that I have friends, I'm more confident, I can interact with people, I feel like I could do that. But they might not put me in the wards, like under probation the way Shadow Stalker is. They might just send me to jail. Because I've committed felonies. I've committed armed robbery. Huh. You know, I didn't really think this through. Armsmaster was right, I am kind of a stupid girl for this. There's possibly no benefit if I do this. Because not only would I probably not get to be on the wards, not only will I probably get thrown in prison, I will have betrayed my friends, done the same shit Emma did to me, and I will have them as enemies. But I'm gonna do it anyway, because this is before the end of the book where she decides I don't want to do it. This is when she's kind of thinking about it. She's like, but I think I'm still gonna do it. Because I have to stick with my morals and my moral compass or else I'll lose my way. It was phrased similar to that, and boy, it pissed me off. I was like, okay. First off, you're literally talking about how if I do this to them, I'm doing the same shit Emma did to me, and that's not okay. But somehow doing that is within your moral compass. Also, Taylor, do you remember the first time you went out to be a superhero? You're like, I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to catch a bad guy. I'm going to do a good thing. You had your bugs bite a dude's dick off. This was before I'm going to join the Undersiders and get information. This is before I had to rob a bank so I could get deeper undercover. This was you, presumably, but like you did not go astray at all. There were no other influences. This is just you and your morals. And you thought that was okay. You have since gouged a man's eyes out. Without hesitation, just like, will they grow back? Yeah, they'll grow back eventually. Cool. He's done with. Like, he's taken care of. Now, I feel like the point she was trying to make is, I know I've done some fucked up things, like the eye gouging of Lung, and I don't want to go down the slippery slope. Like she says, from literally like the word go in the story, I have these powers, I could fuck with my bullies, but I don't trust myself to leave it at one thing. Which I do really like, and I feel, especially in hindsight, that is the perfect representation of Taylor's character. It seems like she can very easily go down the slippery slope. We've seen it happen. And she doesn't trust herself to be able to stop herself because very fucking clearly she can't. But to me, it just came across as self-righteous, hypocritical bullshit. Like, she's like 16 or whatever. Sure, that doesn't mean I have to like it. Like, this, like I said, I was listening to this shit, I was like, this is peak bad Ruby. And not in the fun way, like Ruby Justice League Part 1. This is back end of Season 6, all of Season 7, where it is insufferable. And that's why it kind of took me a while to read through Part 6. I was like, I kind of don't want to. But they escape the party that they shouldn't have been in the first place. Armsmaster chases them. And it's never mind, I'll get to that later. And because they're able to escape, the boss shows up with some other people who take out Armsmaster. They meet the boss, and it's Coil, the person who they didn't know if he has powers or not. He's like, my power is I don't remember exactly how he explained it, but my friend, because I've said there, I have a friend who really likes Worm. He's like, you're gonna meet a character, and this is what the power does. So I'm assuming this is what Coil does. He can exist in multiple universes at the same time. Like, you know the idea of multiverse theory, like anything you do, there's another universe. I just made that. There's a universe where I didn't, and here's this universe where I did. You know, that kind of shit. My understanding is that Coil can kind of in his head go, okay, if I do this, how does this universe go? And if I don't, how does this universe go? Experience both of them and go, oh, this universe sucks. And then just kind of stop it from existing and then go into the one that he likes. That's not exactly how it's explained here. I don't remember exactly how it was explained here. But as they were kind of talking about, like, oh yeah, probability manipulation, not exactly, but kind of. I was like, oh, he's probably talking about the boss then. Wow, that sounds really fucking busted. Holy shit. He's like, cool, guys. I am your boss. I am a supervillain. I want to take over the city. I want Brockton Bay. I want to own the government. I want to own the police. I want to own the underworld, etc., etc. If you remember, at that supervillain meeting, it was my idea to do the truce and the raids for the ABB, and I got what I wanted. Since I have been taking care of Empire 88 and Kaiser, and they're dealt with. What about Fault Line's crew? They're mercenaries. I have money. I can buy them off. I was like, what about the merchants? What about the merchants? Fair point. He's like, I invited the travelers in, and they seem like they're pretty Gucci. Undersiders, you were kind of my investment. If you're able to do these jobs, then I would believe in you and trust in you to be my enforcers, to like know this part of the city, the northern parts, the docks, to be my eyes, ears, and my fists, or like whatever the fuck. Like, again, you are my enforcers. What if we failed? Then you failed. Then it just means there's less people, like there's less parahumans in the city for me to deal with. Like, I'm sorry if that sounds rude, if that sounds cold, I get that. But you succeeded. You met every one of my expectations. As a result, if you don't want to be part of my grand plans, that's fine. I will still give you kind of minor jobs to do. If you want to be part of my grand plans, here's what I'll give you. Like, there's the basics. Yeah, you're gonna get fame and you're gonna get oodles of fucking money. That goes without saying. But I can give you things that you want. You know, so long as it's reasonable. Like, I can't give you immortality or something, but you know what I mean. And Taylor's like, I don't know, can you make the city not suck? Yeah, that was the idea. Like, yeah, like I don't want to just take over a city and leave it to ruin. Like, I'm not a good person. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's gonna be some ruthless shit. But I'm an egotistical bastard. I don't want to take over a city and watch it fall. I want it to flourish. I want it to work right. I just want it all work under me and for me. That sound good? If I remember correctly, they didn't fully agree at this point. It was, we have time to talk about it? Of course you have time to talk about it. We'll talk later. After that, Taylor goes home. Danny is waiting for her, and he's like, Taylor, the school told me you haven't been to class in like a fucking month. We need to talk about shit. And she's like, I really want to talk to my dad, but I really don't want to talk to my dad, and he's locked the doors, so I can't leave, and I just want to leave, and I feel like I'm a prisoner in my own home. And she ends up calling Lisa. Lisa gets her out, and she's like, Dad, I love you. I will keep in touch. I need space. I will talk to you later. And that's the plot. The interlude is about this girl named Canary, whose power she sings good. She sings so good, she can essentially Gios people and have the... I haven't read Preacher, but she has the voice of God. When someone is under her influence from her singing, she can tell them to do shit or sing them to do shit, and they will do it. She is on trial. And I thought that it was actually really interesting. Like, they're talking about sentencing and about precedent, how like, yeah, like with fucking parahumans, we don't have a lot of precedent, so it is up to me as the judge in this case to, like, I have to kind of set the precedent, which is why I'm sending you to the birdcage, and why she's being sent to the birdcage, and the fact that she's Canary being sent to a birdcage is kind of funny to me, is what she did was after her show, her ex showed up and was like, hey, I deserve fame and money for getting you out of your shell, and she told him to go fuck himself. So, like in Preacher, he did. From what I understand, like in Preacher, it's not something he was able to do, so he had to, to be able to do it. That's why she got arrested, and as she's being transferred to the birdcage, there's 2 other people in the van. It's Bakuda and Lung. They try to escape. The escape does not work. Then, the last bit of the chapter is from Lung's perspective. He's been in prison for a while. He goes to visit Bakuda, and he's like, hey, Bakuda, like, what's good? I'm not gonna lie, this prison's actually kind of dope. It's so cool. It's a technical marvel. Blah, 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 blah. Bakuda, shut the fuck up. We're in prison now. I've been in prison before. I know how this works. What you need is, like, you have to make sure that people don't fuck with you. Generally speaking, there's 4 ways you do this. Way number 1, you join a gang. The gangs offer you protection. You maybe have to do things you don't want to do, but you're protected, you're Gucci. I am someone who is used to being in charge, so I can't just join someone's gang and submit to them. So that's not an option for me. So option number 2 is you be someone's bitch. For the same reason I just mentioned, I can't do that. So option 3 or option 4. Option 3 is you kill somebody, because then people don't want to fuck with you because they know you're nuts. Or option 4, people just think you're a madman, that you're fucking insane and deranged, so they don't want to mess with you. I'm choosing both of those options. And Bakuda, now realizing what he means and why he's there, starts freaking out. It's like, why? Why are you here to kill me? You insulted me, and you failed me. I only insulted you so you would use your power during the escape, so you would get pissed off, so you would fight, and we could escape. You're right. And look where we are. If your plan was successful, and we had escaped, I would have overlooked it. I would have overlooked the previous failures. I would have overlooked your insults. But that's not what happened. So Bakuda is like, okay. The way the rooms are designed, it's like, I don't remember exactly how it was explained. It's like, it basically, like, if you puncture a hole in the room, you'll, like, die from oxygen deprivation, or it was some kind of shit. It made sense as it was explained. She's like, hey, like, I can kill us both. Like, I can puncture a hole in the thing, and both of us will die if, before you get to me. No, you can't. I'm faster. You want to bet? He did. And that's how it ends. Is, you want to bet? He did. That was a cold-ass ending, and I kind of fucking loved it. I'm going to be honest, I was enjoying Bakuda. In the previous entry, I couldn't understand a word she was saying. But I actually enjoyed her vibes, just how fucking nuts she is. Kind of sad to see her go. I just really enjoy Lung. I hope I do get to see more of him as it goes on. I'm expecting... I feel like at some point Taylor's going to end up in the birdcage. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like it's going to happen, though. That's going to be interesting, her encountering Lung again. In terms of the characters, like, little shit that we learned... Again, we did get to see Brian's sister, so we got a little bit there. We learned a tiny bit about Alec, that apparently his big goal is he kind of wants to outshine his father, and it sounds like his father is someone who's a bit more, like, affluent and famous or something like that, and he just wants to show him up. I talked about Taylor, my issues with Taylor in the book, and it's kind of it there. In terms of extra lore bits, Tattletale specifically mentions that she can't really use her power on people's emotions or their thoughts, so she's really not a mind reader, which we already knew, but I was like, oh, that's think that's just the Manson effect in progress. That's kind of neat. They talked about how the most important thing to Armsmaster is his reputation, which to me harkens back to that first conversation he had with Taylor in Arc 1, where he's like, okay, you just helped take down a massive supervillain. Here are your options, kiddo. You can take the credit or you cannot take the credit. If you take the credit, you will want to join the Protectorate and the wards. Because if you don't, this guy will know who you are. His people will know, like not you specifically, but they'll know your superhero name, what you look like, your powers. So they are going to be after you. If you join us, you will have our training, our resources, our protection. If you don't want to join us, and you said that you don't, you probably don't want to take the credit because you don't want to have these people after you. And I remember Taylor kind of saying at the time, she's like, I feel like he wants the credit, so he's trying to dissuade me from it, which is fine. But I feel like by just full on saying, it's like, oh yeah, to Armsmaster, that is the most important thing. It's like, he doesn't really care about the city. He just cares about how the city views him and whatnot. I'm like, it feels like the interesting and nuanced part of that conversation is now completely lost. And granted, you could always say that was never the intent, because Taylor kind of sussed him out right at the start. But I thought that made it interesting. Like, this is Taylor's interpretation, but I can see this being genuine. Oh, well, I guess it's not. And it's that kind of thing that makes me go, Emma probably is just a cold bitch, isn't she? I can feel that there's something really potentially interesting here. Maybe she's a lesbian. Maybe it's just that she found herself in love with Taylor and realized it was never reciprocated, and that's just why she's bitter and venomous. I read it, I'm like, there's gotta be something here. But when I see something like that, where like, here's the interesting way this can go, and no, just an asshole, it makes me kind of start to doubt that there is going to be any nuance with Emma, and I feel like if that's the case, that's just kind of disappointing. We did get to learn about some other powers. Like, talked about Coils. Trickster, his power is he can teleport objects and kind of he can swap the positions of things so long as they're of relatively equal mass. So in my head, I'm like, okay, so he just has the law of equivalent exchange, and that's kind of fun. There's a clown girl named Circus who just has circus-themed powers. Like, she has really good balance, limited pyrokinesis, like fire eating and fire blowing. She has hammer space as a power. I'm like, that's cool. I like that a lot. I love the hammer space power. And there was a pet name that Taylor's mom had for her where she called her Little Owl. I don't know. I thought that was kind of cute. But that was Worm 6. Definitely not my favorite, as much as I kind of hate to say it, but it is true. I hope that when I start part 7, it'll be really, really fucking good.